Think about the last time you picked up a book or a journal. Have you ever wondered about the process that went into making it? What if I told you that you could learn to make one yourself? Bookbinding is a skillful and age-old art that allows you to create your own book. Bookbinding is an easy craft, whether you are crafting a book or you simply want to create a creative way to spend your time. Bookbinding is the perfect hands-on activity. To get started, you will need a few materials, like paper and thread, and an understanding of stitching techniques, and your own creativity. By following these simple steps, anyone can create their own handmade book. Let's begin by looking at the materials you will need. The first thing you will need is paper. You will need thick paper, such as sketch paper. And if you are planning a 12-page book, you will need 24 sheets of paper. You will also need durable thread. Regular sewing thread will work the best. Make sure that you cut your thread each time you work on your project so that your thread doesn't tangle. It is also suggested that you could coat your thread with beeswax to prevent fraying or breakage. Bookbinding also requires some essential tools. You will need a couple of needles, such as a curved needle and an awl. A curved needle is perfect for a beginner, and an awl is an object that can mark and punch holes into your paper. A bone folder will also help create clean folds in your paper, and some glue is also needed. Now that we have all the materials, the next step is to focus on the stitching techniques. Once your materials are ready, the next step is to start stitching the pages together. You will need to fold your pages in half, and then use the awl to mark and punch holes through the spine of your folded pages. Make sure to cut your length of thread, thread it through the needle, double the knot at the end. There are many different stitching techniques that have varying difficulties. These include the kettle stitch, lawn stitch, and the French link. One technique, Coptic stitching, dates back as early as 200 AD. Let's start with the easiest though, the lawn stitch. Bring your needle through the first hole and out the second. Continue to weave until you've reached the end, and then add another sheet on top. You will repeat this process. And don't worry, this will get easier over time. When I first began to bookbind, it was difficult and it took a long time, but the more I practiced, it got easier and I got faster. After binding your book, secure the knot to prevent unraveling. You might also want to glue the spine to keep your book together. Once the stitching is complete, the next step is to add your own creative touch. Now, it's time to make this book your own. Bookbinder Douglas Cockrell once said, "The binder must consider the book he is binding if he is to bind it sympathetically." You should be purposeful with the book that you are binding. It can be functional, but it can also be enjoyable. Decide the purpose of your book. Is it going to be a diary, a journal, or a sketchbook? Knowing the function of your book will help your design process. To personalize your book, you can paint or draw on the cover. Alternatively, you can also use fabric to create a nice texture on your book. Consider adding buttons, magazine cuttings, or beads to really make it your own. Just be sure to glue and secure your new design. Now that you have created your own book, you can see how fun it really is. In conclusion, bookbinding is an easy and enjoyable craft that anyone can try, regardless of skill level. By gathering a few materials, you can create your own book through basic stitching techniques and embracing your creative freedom. Bookbinding may seem complicated at first, but it will get easier by learning the simple steps, and it will be able to tap into your creativity. The next time you're looking for a new project or a new hobby, gather your materials, learn the techniques, and start binding your own book. What aspect of my speech delivery did I do well?
Using your hand gestures, that was really nice. Your posture was good. You were like shoulder length, your feet were like shoulder apart. Felt really confident, very natural.
You dealt with distractions very well. That's hard to do when you're trying to focus and give a speech, and we're very distracting, and you did a really good job.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is you had good eye contact, and like I felt like you had like smiles and like kind of like gave like an engaging facial expression at all the right moments that kept me like interested. And the topic was really interesting. I want to go like make a book now.
What can I improve?
A little hard to hear you sometimes, but other than that, I feel like echoing Kua, you were calm in demeanor.
You were very well paced and calm. You could try to make it more conversational, because I can tell that you know a lot about the subject and you do it for fun. So as you became more comfortable with it, I could tell you were starting to share kind of like you would in a conversation, and I think that was the best moments of the speech.